Hello, and welcome back. I know it ain't been, too terribly long, but either way, welcome back. Love to see you. If Sorry if I sound a little bit hushed, it's like dead middle of the night, and I'm not trying to wake anybody up. I'm on the wrong side of the schedule as we discussed before. But anyway, today we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish off our character sheet, as promised in the "What am I gonna do for this next year" video. We're gonna finish off the character sheet and then start running through rules. I'm still keeping any sort of lore on the back burner because that's above my pay grade right now. So if you're excited for the lore video, I do apologize. Hello, small dog or large dog. I do apologize. It's taking way more work than what I thought, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to string you along with it. I don't want to string you along with it, so it might not happen. Anyway, moving forward. As you'll see on the character sheet here in a few minutes, when it comes to life path, you have two different life paths to be concerned with. The first one is your regular life path, your upbringing, your cultural background, so on and so forth. What do you look like? What do you carry? Lucky charms, trinkets, all of that. And secondarily, your role-specific life path. Now, this is where I kind of committed a bit of an oopsie, and I apologize. It seems to me like I have lost the character sheet from the last episode. So, in between one of these jump cuts, I'm going to hurry up and re-roll our Netrunner. I'm 90% certain it was a Netrunner. And we can go from there so that you can see an entire character sheet start to finish. Whoops. Alright, that's over and done with. Where was I? Oh yeah, life path. I explained that you have the role-specific life path and your regular life path. So, technically speaking, because it's backstory, you can write all of that out on your own if you so please. Personally, I like doing it from the book. I'm a pretty lazy character creator. So, before we get into that though, I would like to just wipe out the style and substance section, housing, reputation, rent, lifestyle, and improvement points. Well, lifestyle we'll look at probably while we do life path. So, over in here, you're going to see your fashion. Let's just get that out of the way. You've got 10 different ways of fashion that you can choose from, and it's pretty much just whatever you feel like. You're designing your character. How's he look? So, personally, I end up picking like urban flash, tech wear, and it'll run you, I'd say almost 1,000 eddies just to deck yourself out in urban flash. And we're gonna go through this after I sit down and tell you about it. So, got your bottoms, your top, your jacket, standard clothing, your footwear, your jewelry, mirror shades, which are kind of like sunglasses. I'm assuming that they're the aviators. Regular glasses, contact lenses, and hats. You don't necessarily need mirror shades, glasses, and contact lenses. You can pick one of the three. But like I said, getting them all will run you roughly $1,000 on the urban flash part of things. So, and on page 102, each of these comes with a 3-word descriptor. Homeless, ragged, and vagrant for bag lady chic. Gang colors, dangerous, violent, and rebellious. They're gonna be, if you play 2077, think Maelstrom, or, my goodness, really honestly, like, Maelstrom or the Tiger Claws. Because the rest is like flashy cyberware. Generic sheet is just it's your standard. I went into, what do you call that? I went into Kohl's and picked out some clothes. I went into Abercrombie and picked out some clothes. It's standard everyday wear. Bohemian is, I like to think Bohemian is kind of like kind of like what the Philharmonic vampires would wear, like tuxedos and shit. Folksy, retro, free-spirited. Leisure wear, it's sweats. Or basketball shorts. Comfort, agility, athleticism. Matter of fact, in 2077, I had V running around in basketball shorts for like half my playthrough. Nomad leathers. It's, you ever watch Mad Max? That would be your nomad leathers. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. They're dirty. They spend a lot of time looking at dust. They're typically what you would see like a cowboy wear or post-apocalyptic punk. Asia pop is what I would like to think, dressing up like an anime character would be. Pop stars, bright costume, like youthful appearance, lots of colors, big eyes, makeup that, gyarus. If you're into the anime manga scene, gyarus would probably be Asia pop, or, what's her name? Kyari Mamu Pamu, something like that. There would be your Asia pop. Urban Flash, I just explained, it's tech wear, things of that nature, utilitarian clothing. Business wear is your suits. It's meant to make you look, way the fuck up here. And finally, high fashion. It's exclusive, designer, couture. These people, the people who end up wearing like high fashion, they walk into a Prada store and try to buy the whole store. But judging by, the pricing down here, that's not gonna fly. Where's my cursor? There it is. At any rate, I usually end up picking Urban Flash, and we're going to go over to page 327 and see what they have to say. And there's what they have to say on page 328. It's just a chart, literally what we just discussed. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to end up putting out like urban wear, or Urban Flash. Okay, so coming into fashion, Urban Flash. And I will go ahead and write out a short description. Alrighty, here we go. Urban Flash. Baggy pants with loads of pockets, hidden hoods, and tons of zippers. Now, we're going to move on, and we're just going to go ahead and finish this bottom section out. So looking at the table of contents, and you make your way over to page 105, you get this short paragraph. At character generation, if you aren't an exec, you'll start off living in a rented cargo container either in the overcrowded suburbs of the city or in a combat zone, and living a not-so-luxurious kibble lifestyle. See page 377. We'll get there in a minute. For more information about your living situation and what it entails, the first month's rent and kibble are free, chumba, but you owe 1,100 Eurobucks on the first of next month, or you're getting evicted on the second. On the other hand, if you are an exec, you'll start off living rent-free in a corporate con-apt or in a corporate zone, and living a comfortable, good pre-packed lifestyle, which is already paid for this month. Again, see, we'll get there, page 377. You don't have to pay rent because you're better than other people, but maintaining your good pre-packed lifestyle will run you 600 Eurobucks on the first of every month. Nomads have an additional housing option due to their motor rollability. Page 165. You can live in your car. So, let's make our way to page 177 and see what they have to say. 177, I meant 377. We got quite a bit of reading to do on page 177, so let's go ahead and get started. You have to sleep sometime. A safe and comfortable place is preferred. At the beginning of each month, you'll have to settle your housing and lifestyle costs. If you must pick one or the other, it's better to be evicted than to starve to death. Going without at least 6 hours of sleep a day will give you a -2 to everything you attempt for each day since you've last slept a full 6 hours. Sleeping in an uncomfortable situation will leave you fatigued the next day, which will penalize you an additional -2 to everything you attempt while fatigued. This won't kill you, but it doesn't feel good either. So, what does sleeping uncomfortable mean? Being crammed, number 1. Sleeping in a housing with a number of persons greater than 1 plus the number of bedrooms. Persons unconscious in cryostasis and corpses do not count towards this limit. Who wants to sleep with a corpse? A cube hotel is the only exception. Sleeping with more than one person in a cube is always sleeping uncomfortable and will leave you fatigued the next day. A cube hotel is what I like to call a coffin hotel. It's got maybe enough space for you to sit up in, but that's it. You might have enough space to kind of like arch your back against the wall and touch your head on the ceiling while you're laying down. Sleeping on the street. Unless you make a successful DV-15 endurance check, sleeping on the street will leave you fatigued. Sleeping on the street is also asking for trouble. Now, if you're sleeping on the street, your DM could decide to roll a percentile. Roll a d10, fuck it. Anything, in my case, when I roll a d10 for random chance, it's anything above 5 is a yes, anything below 5 is a no. So 5 and up is yes, 4 and below is no. He can roll that d10 to see if somebody tries to come by and mug you, which is also going to interrupt your sleep and give you that -2 penalty. Sleeping in the wilderness. Unless you make a successful DV-15 wilderness survival check, sleeping in the wilderness will leave you fatigued. Unlike sleeping on the street, other persons can roll this wilderness survival check for you. Nomad friends are nice to have. And finally, big money, real estate. Likely, where you sleep will be your largest monthly expense. You may start out in a cargo container located outside the city, but if you start saving up, you'll be able to move into a more secure arrangement in no time. Or you could just be an exec and never have to pay rent and live in comfortable security from the beginning, just by selling your soul into corporate slavery. Your choice. Now, just before I type in, what kind of housing we're going to have, something to explain. If you get 4 hours of sleep and it's uncomfortable sleep, you're taking a -4 penalty to everything you attempt. Just thought I'd put that out there. It does stack. So you either are going to sleep okay or sleep comfortably for 6 hours, or you are going to sleep uncomfortably and take that -2, or correction, you're either going to sleep uncomfortably for 6 hours and take that -2, or you're not going to sleep very well, or you're going to sleep very well for 4 hours and take that -2, if you have to. Otherwise, you're kind of boned on every rule you make past the point of not being well rested. At any rate, we know where we're starting. We're pretty much starting off in a what was that called? A shipping container. So I'm going to go ahead and type in shipping container in housing. And our rent, if we scroll down to take a look at this chart, a cargo container is 1,000 euro dollars. And of course you can buy it for 15 grand. Our lifestyle, we will discuss momentarily. I'm not reading all that. And those are jobs. Give me just a minute. I passed it up. So your lifestyle is in fact the food that you eat. So your food, your lifestyle, we will put over here, and it will have a monthly cost. Kibble is just awful. It's you eat horrible food that you might not buy for a dog you liked. Once a month, you can see a movie or a brain dance. Generic prepack. It tastes better than kibble, but it's not the best. You eat food which tastes much better than kibble by comparison. Each weekend you can afford to go out to a good bar and party or have a sit-down meal at a good restaurant. Good prepack. Your food is the same quality as most restaurants, and while still artificial, it tastes almost exactly the same as real food. You frequent excellent bars and restaurants when you go out. Once a month, you can see a live concert or sporting event. And finally, fresh food. It's real food. You a rich anyway, you eat real food. Once per month, if you are tired and too far from home, you can get a nearby hotel room and not worry about your budget. You frequent an executive bar. Once a month, you can eat at a world-class restaurant. We never start with that. See, I'm nice enough to give out like generic pre-pack, but there are other people who make you eat starting out eating kibble. So we're going to go ahead and write generic pre-pack. And in parentheses, we are going to put the monthly price, which is $300. Now, I have to find your reputation and improvement points, but I can kind of gauge both and give you a bit of my explanation of what both are. I'm also going to adjust my camera. We're going to go ahead and start with improvement points because that's the first one I found. So, after each game session, the GM awards all players improvement points based on how successful they were in the mission. If the mission was finished successfully or unsuccessfully, the players gain improvement points based on their group's successes, taking the value from the group column, unless they did something that the GM considers stand out from one of the other playstyles that would award them more points. So it's kind of like getting heroic inspiration in D&D. If you do something outstanding in D&D, your DM might specifically hand you out a heroic inspiration. In this case, it's just extra points. If the players didn't finish the mission, they are awarded IP based on either their primary or secondary playstyle, unless they did something the GM considers stand out from one of the other playstyles that would award them more points. Again, heroic inspiration. For instance, if Bob Jones is a warrior type and he manages to defeat all of the dreaded Team X by luring them into a crossfire trap, that would fall under the very effective or clever use of combat skills defeating several opponents in unexpected or unusual ways category. So Bob would get 50 play style IP for that feat. Now, I'm going to show you what he's talking about real quick before we look at the chart, which is like halfway up. A lot of reading. Unlike other tabletop games, Cyberpunk Red uses a system called Playstyle Improvement. This type of improvement allows the GM to reward each player based on their preferred type of gameplay and their level of participation in that gameplay type. In classic Bartle taxonomy, these types are socializers, explorers, achievers, and killers. But in Cyberpunk Red, we describe them as warriors, socializers, explorers, and role players. Warriors are combat-oriented players like to... I'm sorry. Warriors are combat-oriented players that like to engage in tests of skill against adversaries. They want... Hello, kitty. They want to build the strongest fighter in the group as well as have the best weapons or combat abilities. Those ones border cyberpsychosis really quick. Socializers, social-oriented players, are all about the overall game experience. They like to tell jokes, record stories, and contribute in ways that are not directly within the game. In and out of the game, they tend to take supportive roles. Explorers. Exploration-oriented players like to find new things in the world. They like to make friends and alliances and find new places and things to experience. They also love to solve non-combat related puzzles and mysteries. And finally, roleplayers. Roleplay-oriented players like to concentrate on playing their character as accurately to the type as possible. They enjoy constructing elaborate backgrounds for the character, often including personal props, pictures, and even special diaries. They enjoy acting out important scenes with speeches or elaborate descriptions. I tend to be the role-player type. He then presents you with this kind of Punnett square, in which case you pick your 5 things that you find most important when playing. The box with the most circles is your primary playstyle, and the box with the second most circles is your secondary playstyle. So let's say you choose, have a picture of your character, write up your character's background, act out the accents and mannerisms of your character, find a new place on the map, and solve a difficult puzzle. That would put you in the mindset of roleplay first, exploring second. Now, taking what we just learned, we now go to the reward system, and we look at the chart. So, for the lowest amount of IP earned, the group did not succeed in the mission but tried valiantly. The warrior used combat skills often, even if not too exceptionally effective. Screen's kind of funny. The socializer was a supportive and helpful part of the party, in or out of game. The explorer attempted to investigate or explore the world, situation often, even if not to exceptional effect. And the roleplayer attempted to roleplay the character often. So as long as you're taking part in the game, you're going to get at least 10 improvement points. For 20, the group barely accomplishes the mission. The warrior used combat skills often and effectively, often taking out important opponents, so he was strategic and efficient. Supportive actions were the socializer's supportive actions were helpful in maintaining player party unity and cohesion, quote lists, game notebooks, etc. So he took proper notes, and those notes came to fruition, at least a little bit. The explorer used exploration effectively to learn about the world and situation, and the roleplayer roleplayed in character all the time, often effectively. For 30 improvement points, the group worked well together, accomplishing most of the mission goals with everyone taking part in the adventure. The warrior made frequent and effective use of combat skills, defeating the most dangerous opponents in a given combat challenge. The socializer was had frequent and effective use of supportive or helpful activities, and were beneficial in maintaining player party unity and cohesion. The explorer frequently and effectively used exploration and investigation to further personal and party goals. He had his ear and nose to the ground, and he was sniffing up clues. and the role player had frequent and effective use of role playing to accomplish a goal. Acted, not rolled, to accomplish task. So as long as, the role player was a regular thespian, he was okay. As long as the explorer was sniffing up whatever he could sniff up, he was okay. As long as the socializer was making sure that everybody was on task, he was okay. As long as the warrior was trying to beat the shit out of everything as fast and as efficiently as he could, he was okay. And it just kind of goes on from there, all the way up to 50. 50 is the limit. So, I have you at a rank 4, which means your current total improvement points, I would say 30, 60, 90, 120. I'll just put 120 in there. And we'll say that you spent 70 of them, so you got 50 left. Now, we're almost done, and I can start the other hour-long bit of this video. Promise. Now, your reputation. Reputation goes up as you do things within the narrative. Scratch that and rewind. Matter of fact, you can go all the way up to 80 improvement points if you guys are just on fucking point. The mission you complete is just a perfect success. Everybody's heroic, everybody fits into their role perfectly. You can get 80 improvement points, and I have to tell you how to spend them before we move on to your reputation. I apologize. Got ahead of myself. So, you spent your improvement. You're looking to improve a skill. Coming back up here, we'll say we want to improve, cyber tech, right? So, we would have to, that 50 is actually not a 50. We'll just go right there. So, to be able to improve and rank up cyber tech, we would have to spend 120 of your improvement points to go from 5 to 6. Okay? Pardon. Which would zero you out for next session. So, let's say you want to go from 1 to 2, you would have to spend 40. 40 to 2 to 3, 60. Come on. Yes, thank you, piss off. And so on and so forth. 3 to 4, 80, 4 to 5, 100, all the way up to rank 10. Now, difficult skills are double. So to go from 1 to 2, and I'm pretty sure, let me double check real quick. Okay, so the auto fire skill, the heavy weapon skill, and the martial arts skill are actually difficult skill improvements. They require double the points. So going to rank 2, you would have to spend 80. Going to rank 3, 120, and so on. So you would do it in multiples of 40. And finally, your rollability rank improvement is the most expensive, going from rank 1, requiring you to spend 120 improvement points to go from rank 1 to rank 2, and 180 to go from 2 to 3, 240 to go from 3 to 4. I usually start, like I probably mentioned in the last video, I usually start people at rank 4 in their rollability. And we go from there. That way they can actually, experience the character instead of just starting at rank 1, being a normal person. But when you are awarded improvement points, you will come down here and you will, let's say I give you 80, you'll put your 80 down in there. You have to decide whether or not you're going to save them or spend them throughout, your next session or even a couple sessions, depending on how deep into the game you are. And finally, we move on to reputation. I'm sorry for the the backtrack. Again, quite a bit of reading. Another kind of combat. Not everything on the street is determined with fists or guns. In a world where combat can end your life in a hot nanosecond, other methods have evolved to determine who is going to be the top dog in a conflict. One of these methods involves having a reputation. Reputation is a measure of things your character may do so well or so badly that they become well known for them. A reputation for something is always established by a character's actions and is then awarded by the GM. When your GM believes your character has done something worthy of gaining a reputation, they can assign them a reputation level from the table below. This is your character's reputation. While people may know of the other less impressive deeds your character has accomplished, a new deed's reputation will only replace the old one if the level is higher. Characters roll 1d10. Most cyberpunk red characters start with a reputation of 0. Characters roll 1d10. A character that rolls under the reputation level of the person they are meeting has heard of them. Sometimes this can be very good, other times it can be very bad, especially if you made a lot of enemies while you were earning a reputation. Reputation can also be a disadvantage whenever you do something extremely uncool, i.e. show cowardice, desert, or betray an ally, etc. The GM can still award you a reputation level for these actions, but it's going to have a negative connotation. Reputation received from a negative event or action can replace the reputation of a positive event or action. In that case, people are more likely to have heard about your uncool deeds rather than your impressive deeds. Once again, roll 1d10. However, this time they won't be impressed. If your rep is for cowardice or something just as bad, it'll work against you. So we're going to move to that chart. So at level 1, anyone who was there at the time of the event knows what happened. Level 2, stories have gotten around to immediate friends. Level 3, all your coworkers and usual and casual acquaintances know about what happened. Number 4, stories are all over the local area. 5, others beyond your local area recognize your name. 6, others beyond your local area know you on sight. 7, a new story or 2 has been written about your exploits. 8, your exploits make the headlines and screen sheets regularly. I am having such trouble reading right now. I promise you I'm literate. 9, your exploits always make the screen sheets and TVs. 10, you're known worldwide. So, most sessions, or most campaigns, usually stop right about here. Others beyond your local area know you on sight, and that's because, well, for the most part, a lot of sightings end up taking place in, like, Night City. Anyway, whenever your character encounters new people in new situations, their reputation may influence how those people react to them. When first meeting, reputation in Cyberpunk Red has one big effect: face downs. A lot of combat in Cyberpunk Red comes down to a duel of wills, who's tougher, meaner, and looks more ready to prove it. This often leads to what are called face downs, when two heavies on the street square off just before a fight to see who will back down from a confrontation. The GM will call a face down whenever they feel the scene calls for it. When making a face down, both participants will roll their cool. They will roll their cool stat. In our case, cool is 8. And then they will add their reputation, which I'm just going to go ahead and give us a 3. No, I'll give us a 4. People vaguely know of us. And a D10. So, let me find a D10 real quick. Alright, so now let's roll this out. Our cool is 8, and our reputation is 4, already giving us a total of 12. We roll, and we get a 3. That is 15. Now, we go up against somebody who has a similar reputation, a cool factor of 7 and a reputation of 5. We roll theirs, and they have a 2. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 2 is 14. We win by 1. Now, in a tie, let's go ahead and get rid of that. In a tie, both parties are unsure and nothing happens. Otherwise, the loser has the option of either backing down or taking a -2 to any future actions made against this opponent due to fear until they've defeated them once. So, the person that we were rolling against would take a -2 to any sort of rolls, even attack rolls, any actions, until we're actually defeated in either another face down or something. We are defeated in some way, shape, or form. We've got one final thing to fill out, and that would be your starting cash. I randomly just gave all my players 2,500 to start with. What we actually start with, I'm going to go ahead and find. Well, a quick jaunt to the internet has shown that I actually shorted my players $50. So we're going to go ahead and tell you. I didn't find an actual page number. What I ended up doing was scouring a couple of Reddit boards, and somebody said 2550 was a nice round number, and that's close enough to what I had started with anyway. So we are starting with 2550 EB. And honestly, that is a nice round number. You're able to get a gun, a knife, some gear. Granted, I loaded this fucking gear station up, and maybe a piece or two of cyberware. I gave this guy 3 pieces. So, with that being said, if I let this continue on any longer, you know what? Grab a snack and a drink. We'll go ahead and we will meet right back here. Everybody made it back yet? Good. We're finally going to start into the life path. And this is going to take quite a while to explain. So we're going to go ahead and start with the basic life path and start with your cultural origins. The cyberpunk world is multicultural and multinational. You either learn to deal with all kinds of people from all over, or you die the first time you look side at the wrong person. Where you came from determines your native language. In Red, we assume everyone speaks street slang, the pidgin that has evolved to be used by almost everyone in the dark future, but you probably also have another primary tongue, based entirely off of your race. Something that you might have learned from, a parent or a grandparent. So, we roll 1d10 to figure that out. And we got a 7. So we are South Asian. And we're going to go ahead and speak. Oh. Nepali. Right. So now that we've got our cultural region, and we have our language. I don't know a lick of Nepali. I'm sorry. I could have picked English, but that's the cheap way out. We have your personality, and I have to pull up the dice roller. Yeah, my background's psyched up too. So, we roll a d10 to choose our personality. 1 is shy and secretive, 2 is rebellious, antisocial, and violent, 3 is arrogant, proud, and aloof. I'm going to roll, and we're going to pick one. And we're going to pick whatever's rolled. And we got a 5. So we are picky, fussy, and nervous. Stop. Next up is our clothing style. So, we will start here, and we will roll a d10 twice. Once for the clothing and once for the hair. We got, hey, urban flash. Like I usually assign. And for our hair, wild and all over. That's par for the course. Hairstyle is wild and all over. And then we move to our affectation. An affectation you were never without. So, we roll yet another d10. And we get 9 fingerless gloves. And with the personality, the clothing style, the hairstyle, and the affectation, you can kind of come up with some story elements as to why you have all this stuff and the style you chose. So, rolling down again, your motivations and relationships. We are going to start with, what do you value most? And that is a number 8. So, that number 8 tells us we value power the most. And I have to go fish my dice roller up, so hold on. And then we roll it again for, how do you feel about most people? On the data back sheet, it just says feelings about people. So, 7. People are obstacles to be destroyed if they cross me. This is actually a very cohesive character. So, type that out real quick. The font on that is really small, and I'm sorry, but it says people are obstacles to be destroyed if they cross me. And then we come down to the most valued person in your life, and again, we roll. Where is my dice roller? For the love of God. It is a 3. So our most valued person is a lover. Now this is where things can get confusing because down here, but we'll get there. The most valued possession you own. And you just keep doing this. You keep rolling the die. For us, it's a tool. So I'm going to say it's a net runner, so soldering iron. No, that's techie stuff. Mini laptop. and we can call that our first one. If you want to be real picky about it, it was our first mini laptop. It was given to us by so and so. And you just keep building like this. Family background. Oh boy. I'm glad I quit reading them all. 5. So our family background is a ganger family. I will read this one though. A savage, violent home and any place the gang could take over. You were usually hungry, cold, and scared. You probably didn't know who your actual parents were. Education? The gang taught you how to fight, kill, and steal. What else did you need to know? And next up is childhood environment. So again, we roll, and we got a number 8. Number 8 says our childhood environment was in the ruins of a deserted town or city taken over by reclaimers. Am I going to be able to copy paste? Yes. And we're just going to go ahead and just do that. And, because that font was really small. So, what is a reclaimer? I'm going to double check for you because I don't know myself. Well, from a cursory glance, a reclaimer is a person who is trying to reclaim the environment around them from, well, in Night City's case, the nuclear city center, or in the case of, out in the wastes, some nomads would try to reclaim an area to kind of set up a small encampment. So, in the ruins of a deserted town or city taken over by reclaimers is exactly that. People who were trying to rebuild some form of infrastructure. I should have probably been reading these top text, but that's okay. Childhood environment's kind of self-explanatory. Your original family background is explanatory. Your family crisis is self-explanatory. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that next. Let me dig up my dice. And here we go. We got a 7. Your family is involved in a long-term conspiracy, organization, or association, such as a crime family or revolutionary group. Oh boy. So I'll be right back. I just left it to ties to a crime family or revolutionaries. And for this chunk, finally, your life goals. Where was that? Topping off this section here, you roll a d10 for your life goals. I have to dig up my d10 again. We got a 7. So your life goal is to get what's rightfully yours. And based off of what we just made, that could be a number of different things. Could be where you squatted in your childhood environment. Could be your mini laptop. Could be your lover. Could be somebody from your gang or family. So on and so forth. You're not limited. Now, we have 3 sections down here. That would be friends, tragic love affairs, and enemies. And so we go ahead and we roll that d10. Ooh. So what we do is we roll a d10 and subtract 7, a minimum of 0, to see just how many friends you've made so far in your life. For each friend, roll on the table below. You could be a complete and total friendless loser. Or you could be a goddamn Madonna. We have 3 friends. Right. So, our first friend is a former lover. Our second friend is someone with a common interest. And I have to dig up my D10. I think I got myself off halfway through saying that, but anyway. And our final friend is a teacher or mentor. A gang boss, in our case. Next, we roll for enemies. So, again, we roll a d10 and subtract 7 for a minimum of 0 to determine how many enemies I've made, and then for each one, decide who the injured party was and roll once on each of the columns below. Once you have determined what your enemy is like, go to the sweet revenge table to see how the offended party will act if the two of you ever meet again. Alright, so, how many enemies do we have? 2. So, our first enemy is an ex-friend. And what caused it is one of you said, stop, one of you set the other up for a crime they didn't commit. We're just gonna go ahead and say frame job. What can they throw at you? Just another D10, whatever. The local cops are other lawmen. With the fuzz. And what's gonna happen? So, now we move to the revenge part of things. And I still have to roll one more of these. So, we're gonna move to the revenge, finish that off, and then do it all over again. And I'll just cut ahead to the all over again. So, this time it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Go. And they're just gonna bitch us out. So we'll just leave that at verbal attacks. And now I'm going to do this one more time in a jump cut. Alright, I'm back. So, our second enemy was a government official who one of us accused the other of a major personality flaw like cowardice. Here, I'll even come up here. And what they ended up being able to throw at us or them was a powerful corporation. But what are we going to do about it? We're just going to avoid the shit out of them. And finally, we move to tragic love affairs, and the last thing I have to explain. Let me pull up my dice. So we're going to roll 1d10 and subtract 7 again to see how many tragic love affairs we've had. Now, in the event that we roll and we don't have any, I'll read a few of the interesting ones, and we'll go from there. So, how many love affairs do we have? Oh no, wait, we still have role-specific Lifepath. Anyway, minor breakdown. We don't have any minor love affairs, so I'm just going to read you a few of them. Your lover, the cliche of your lover died in a car accident. Your lover went insane or cyber psycho. Your lover was often in a fight. It just didn't work out. Or they went to prison or got exiled. There's a couple of the interesting ones. I personally like it just didn't work out. Kind of find that comedic. Now, we have to do role-specific life paths, and I'm now going to jump to where I found that. Alright, so here is the Netrunner's role-specific life path. All of the role-specific ones run off of a d6, so that's helpful. Starting with what kind of runner are you? And once again, all of this stuff, the life path, the role-specific stuff, you can discuss with the GM and write out yourself entirely, whatever fits your narrative. Anyway, so we're going to roll this d6, and we got a 6. We hack for a media, politico, or a lawman who hires you as needed. And we can just copy-paste that. There we go. And don't worry, the text is going to get smaller. Now, do you have a partner, or do you work alone? We are going to go ahead and say we got a partner. And we're going to go ahead and roll that d6. Our partner is an old friend. So hurry and type that up. Oh, I didn't pause it. Oh well. So, and this is where you can start adding stuff on. Our partner is an old friend, or we have a partner, he's an old friend, probably from a gang or family. He probably doesn't like when we have to work for lawmen. But anyway. Next is, what's your workspace like? And it's minimalist, clean, and organized. It's the complete opposite of me. I've got shit everywhere. It's not organized whatsoever. Just random shit. Anyway. Period. And next, what are some of your other clients? So, we have 6. You work for yourself and sell whatever data you can find on the net. This is where you start drawing like different conclusions here. So yeah, you might work for these guys, but whatever data you find, you're going to release on your own. I mean, it doesn't fit very well, but you can make it work. It might be a bad quality of yours to overstep the media or withhold evidence from lawmen, so on and so forth. It's all about the creative freedom. Where do you get your programs? Because, every solid netrunner needs to have programs. And we get our programs from, well, we have backdoors in a few corporate warehouses. So, they're not bad programs. And we'll do it that way. And who's gunning for you? Again, who's gunning for you? 1. You think it might be a rogue AI or a net ghost. Either way, it's bad news. Oh, I forgot the space here. And there you go. That is an entire character sheet for Cyberpunk Red. Just using the data pack sheet, which is as clear and concise as it possibly can be. You could have a picture here, but you know what? I'll go ahead and add a picture. Hold on. Well, that kind of sucks. I couldn't add my picture. Oh well. But let me go ahead and just show you this real quick, and then we will be on our way. There it is. Your character sheet in all its glory, from name to stats to skills to cyberware, down to weapons, armor, and your entire backstory. Oh yeah, let's put an A. Start to finish. And luckily, it was a whole lot more concise this time around than it was the last time I tried this. So, I'm really happy for that. Well, this brings us to the conclusion of the video. That was about an hour between the two videos. It's about 3.5 hours of character sheets, I do believe. Character sheeting, but I had to sit there and teach myself all over again how a character sheet works. So I don't know if that counts or not. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you out in any way, shape, or form, I'd very much appreciate that you've used YouTube before. Like the video, comment maybe, drop a share definitely, and above all else, subscribe. Because this is just the tip of the iceberg. I have such things to show you. On top of, well, supplementary material. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead, click the like, hit the subscribe button, and maybe share me around. I am appreciative of any sort of effort, all effort. Shouldn't be saying that. Well, it's out there now. You guys take care. Love you all. Good night.